All right, Eddie. So thanks for joining us once again. I feel like every offseason when I go look at your social or you come up on my timeline, Instagram, Twitter, you've always got a new Colt that you're taking under your wing. So first off, like that's awesome. Congratulations, because like that has to come from word of mouth. You now have five Colts that are going to you. So I mean, you got to be doing something right. All these guys are having career years anyway.
Yeah, honestly, it's humbling every time somebody new comes in because it's usually from a reference,
Hmm.
whether it's a player or an agent or a coach. So it's always a pretty good feeling, but it's always fun to working with guys that are bought in to the off season grind and getting their hands dirty and doing the right things to get ready for camp. So it's been fun.
Yeah, business is booming. One of those guys, Laiatu Latu, first defensive player off the board this year, goes to the Colts. That guy's pretty good, isn't he?
I mean, we're gonna see here in a little bit, right?
Hmm.
I already know that.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Everybody that trains with him that hasn't seen him train or rush before or move around is always like it's a little jaw dropping for them. And
Hmm.
they're like, man, this kid's already got it like that. Like, okay, like so it's cool to see that I'm not crazy. I kind of know what I'm talking about a little bit, but I'm glad. I'm honestly, actually, it's funny. Today we were training and uh, Leatu was kind of just smiling, and I was like, "What's up with you?" And he was just like, "Man, I can't wait to get out there and just show the NFL how good our D line's about to be." So he's as excited as probably all the fans are too. So which is a great thing.
Yeah, you mentioned guys who are, obsessed with the grind and everything. I think it was his intro press conference when he came into the facility. We were talking to him. Someone asked him, they're like, "What interest do you have outside of football?" He literally said like nothing. Like that guy, just every time we talked to him, like, oh, this dude, like this is what he absolutely loves. Like he's obsessed with his craft.
Yeah, it's obsessed people do great things,
Hmm.
and he's one of those guys. He can't get enough football, and it was taken from him. You know what I mean? For a short amount of time, and I feel like anytime that happens, um, it's going to be a special feeling every time you get to put the cleats on or put the pads on, and he takes that out there with him every day. So sometimes I gotta tell him to hit the brakes sometimes, just so he understands that when we're training, he's going hard, and then every now and then I'm like, dude, okay, take it easy for a second. So he's going to be one of those guys that just gives everything all the time, every time he's out there.
Yeah, there was a video I think from rookie camp or like the beginning of OTAs when they mixed it with the veterans. He like took out one of the assistant D line coaches. He was going so hard, so that was kind of
Yeah,
funny
yeah,
to see.
I've been there. I
Yep.
felt that. I felt exactly what that guy felt.
Yeah. So you've got this guy who he obviously has the neck injuries. I think that was the only thing that seemed like keeping him from a top 10 lock. But you turn on the film and you're like, this guy is like he looks like an NFL veteran already. Like the amount of tools he has and uses, like he seems like he's so far ahead of the game. And so like some very notable like NFL draft analysts are saying like he's kind of like a Bosa style of NFL prospect. Like you're around all these guys. You have huge names across the board, across the NFL. Is that what you're seeing in him?
Yeah, I think I'm a firm believer just that comparison is a thief of joy.
Hmm.
So it is hard for me sometimes to compare. I do understand it because I get where this industry comes off of comparisons as far as, first round picks or when they're evaluating talent, they want to kind of have an idea of what they're going to look like in the future. Um, I'll be honest, the first thing I noticed about Latu was his similarities of TJ Watt.
Ooh.
Very, very similar in stature, height, weight, hand size, arm length, the way they set up their rushes, the way they counter off of their rushes, the way they play the run. I like to call it like slippery in a sense. They're physical players, but they're not really putting their body into, danger. They're very slippery and they're crafty, and they're able to make the play off of just being a crafty individual and getting their body in the way. So that was the first thing I noticed, and this was back when Leatu was in college. talking with his agent throughout the process, I could pull up receipts of me texting his agent saying, dude, the kid reminds me of TJ Watt. I'm telling you. And the agent was like, that would be a good thing. That would be a good thing. So, I think you can find comparisons in the Bosas because he's got great bend and he's big. He's able to, dip low and run a corner. He rushes a lot like those guys. He's very technical when he sets up his rushes. So I think actually one of my vets the other day had said, yeah, he reminds me a little bit of Bosa. Joey and Nick, the way he turns the corner at the top all low, and he doesn't waste any movements getting into his rush. Everything kind of blends and looks similar right before he throws his move. So yeah, I could definitely see that.
Yeah, that's a guy with a lot of polish. And another one of these guys that just always seems to be working is Quiddy. And, in the NFL, teams pay you obviously based on what they know you've done before, but it's mostly for what you're going to continue to do. And so, they picked up his 5th-year option. And I think when the Colts drafted Latu, a lot of people are like, what's that mean for Quiddy long-term, this and that. But, how good of an investment was that for the Colts to pick up a guy who is still young? He's increased his stats each year. He looks more well-rounded each year. Like, how much is still ahead of him?
It's I don't really get too hyped up about individuals that I work with. I'm telling you right now, I've never seen a guy in my 7 years of doing this have an offseason like Kwity Paye. He's completely changed from the way he looks, from the way he moves, from the way his mindset. He's a completely different individual for the better. He's faster, quicker, stronger, bends better, more mobile, more flexible. And everybody that he's been training with notices it. And that's something that I pay very specific attention to, that when other vets and other players are pointing out how good somebody looks when they're going through their movement drills or their rushes. And Quiddy's been getting compliments like crazy. So I can't express my excitement for Quiddy. I think this is the type of year where, all the, so-and-so haters about the pick or hasn't produced as a pass rusher, this is where they get silenced, because I think Quiddy has the potential to put together a very special season.
Yeah, he's already been one of the better run defending edges in the league, which that's obviously not sexy when you're edge rusher. Sacks is what matters. So, again, I think it was 8.5 for him. Like he keeps getting better all the time. Health, I think, is always big for him, but he tends to play through it. Now, the guy that did lead the Colts in sacks, Samson Ebukam, 9.5 this year. Again, another guy with a career high. Not to say he's old by any means, but like he's one of the older guys on the D-line room. It's, him, Buck, and Grover. Mm-hmm. Is he at the point in his career where he's just kind of like rounding out and perfecting his game, or does he still have some tricks up his sleeve?
Well, if you look at the history of Samson, he's never been a full-time guy. Mm-hmm. So last year was really his first ever full-time role in the NFL. He got the most rushes he's ever had in his career, and he put together a very, very good year. He was really a half sack away from getting double digits, which is great, especially with the way everybody was eating on that defensive line. It's tough to get double digits when everybody's eating. So he was putting together incredible rushes. He looked great. He was healthy. I think he's at that point, like you said, he's rounding out who he is as a player. But he's just a problem to block. Like, mm-hmm. we have a joke between all my guys. It's like no one wants to block Samson Ebukam for 4 quarters. He does the same over and over again. He just runs through your face. Like that's what he does. He just works off of his power. And if you're a tackle that's ever going to take a set off or a play off at all, like he's going to make you pay for it. And I think that's where the changeup now comes in. You got guys like Latu, who, yeah, he's a powerful dude, but if you're seeing Samson and Quiddy, and then the changeup is Latu, like, good luck.
Good luck. Yeah, it was really funny to see with Samson and how you mentioned, no one wants to block him that long. He got his, like, regardless of the matchup, he was productive throughout the year. But if there was like a backup left tackle or someone who was not used to playing a lot out there, that's when he killed him. Like his biggest performances were from guys who like never saw it coming. That was big.
Oh yeah, blood in the water. He's
Mm-hmm.
if you think you're gonna take us, like if you think you're okay, like maybe this guy's not gonna bull rush me this play, like that's not gonna happen. He's gonna put his head down and he's gonna run through your shoulder. So you better bring it. He's one of my favorite guys to work with because he's very technical too at the top of the rush, and I've learned a lot from Samson over the years.
Yeah, that's good. This next guy is someone who I think is one of the Colts draft-wise, one of their biggest success stories. And the trajectory has just followed like exactly what they probably envisioned. And that's Dayo. Like from Zach and I talking to you before, all the things, like a lot of the things you said about Latu, like the compliments from his peers and everything, that's been Dayo all this time. Like people see him move at that size and everything, and they're just really like taken aback by it. He's now that they've taken care of Quiddy's 5th-year option, Dayo's really the only edge guy they have to worry about in free agency next year. So like with how he's been moving, like I know there's a lot of mouths to feed and everything, but what's in store for him this year?
Oh man, he's another season away like that from being probably $100 million man, because he is a problem. And he's really, if you think about it, he's really a 3 technique. He's just playing in multiple fronts there, in a sense. Right? Gus moves him around a lot because he's a mismatch. I mean, if you're getting to 3rd down, you're putting him next to a guard that's going to get the slide away to Buck. Like it's pretty much curtains. Like he's not going to lose that one-on-one. He's too good. He's too big. He's too strong. He's too crafty. He's too technical. I don't think he gets the credit as being one of the best interior pass rushers in the league, although he should, because he's listed as a D end. I think it would be. I had joked with him. I was like, when all these D tackles were making money this offseason, rightfully so. I shot him a text and I was like, hey, you should change your position to D tackle. I was like, because that market is crazy, and we had just laughed about it, but. I think he is that guy that I feel like he's at that point that makes the whole engine go because you can move him anywhere. And with big Buck, you're gonna get slide to Buck every time in pass pro, and that allows guys like Dayo to get the one-on-ones and Quiddy to get his one-on-ones, or Samson. Someone's gonna get a one-on-one, and Dayo is one of those guys that will just never lose those. He'll always win, so you can count on him. But he had 9 last year. I think he had 9, 8.
Yeah, I think he finished with 8 officially, but like,
okay,
if you go like PFF rewards, like theirs is
right.
a little more than like the Habs. I think they gave him like 12.
Right. So if he gets anywhere from 8 to 10 sacks this year, he's going to get a $90 million contract.
Oh, so yeah, because like he's an ascending player, so
right. That's the type
of
player he is.
Yeah,
that's the type of player he is, and he's really only had 2 healthy seasons. So, he was coming off his second year, coming off the Achilles. No one's going to play well after that injury. He had his bumps and bruises, and then last year was really his full year having an off season. He spent pretty much the whole spring out here with me. And you can see his movement skills were translated quickly. Once again, came out here all spring, and he's been here for a little bit in the summer. He looks better than ever. So I really just feel like, and I've been very public about this. I feel like the Colts have one of the best D lines in the league. And Dayo is one of those reasons why, because he can move from, 3 tech to shade. He can be over a 5. You can put him outside a tight end. So he's a baller.
I do think nationally a lot of people consider them a really good line, but I do think they're a little slept on because 51 sacks last year, which is an Indianapolis era record. And all those guys who are responsible for that for the most part are still getting better. They're still young. And then you throw Latu onto that.
So and they don't blitz. So
yeah,
the sacks and pressures come from the D line.
Mm-hmm.
And, I don't think another team in the league was really doing it like that. I know the Ravens had like 60 sacks or something like that, but they blitz like crazy. So it's a little different when you're just pinning your ears back and letting your 4 guys go, and they're generating 50+ sacks and a lot of pressures, and then you just added the best pass rusher in the class. That's a problem. You're gonna have your hands full.
Yeah, for sure. And then so those are like the most well-known guys, but this last guy here is a little more of a dark horse. We got Adetomiwa Adebawore. So rookie year, I think it was 1.5 sacks for him, but like he's just like Quiddy and Dayo, that high effort guy who's going to play through the whistle. He'll be the guy, slapping the quarterback's ankles near the sideline, near the end of the play. Like he is always going. Really unique athletically in his frame as well. What are you seeing from him? Because we called him a Pokemon on the show the other day. Like how he moves and the things he does at that frame, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, he's interesting because I feel like he didn't really know when he first got to me in the spring. He didn't really know much about himself as a rusher. He was just kind of getting away with athleticism. Extremely powerful at the point of attack. So, we've mostly worked off of that, like what he can do off of his power rushes. But we've added a couple, finesse moves, some counters, and he looks incredible. I think the biggest thing for him is just now trusting it and going and throwing his move, getting some film so he can start studying himself move and rush. And a lot like Dayo, if he's in the game, he's probably never going to see a double team. He's going to get the one-on-one. So, most of our conversation and most of our program for him was just understanding, hey, like you're going to get a one-on-one, like take advantage of it. Make sure you're setting up your rushes and, putting good work in no matter what. Like just make sure you're attacking consistently. But he looks great. I mean, he's got the frame. He's got great point of attack contact. He's got good long arms, good hand placement. He's got a great get off. I think that's his best weapon. He jumps the ball quickly, and he's very strong. So I think he's one of those change-up guys you can throw in and give guys like Dayo and Grove and Buck a spell and not lose a lot.
Yeah, this line's going to be really interesting. They could really use Ade having a big year because they kind of struggled with interior depth last year. But, I mean, interior guys, especially as rookies, I feel like it takes so long. And, like, he wasn't supposed to make a huge impact this year. But if he can do even more in 2024, that'll be big for them. But, yeah, thanks for joining us again, Eddie. We'll definitely have to get you back. Once the season's rolling and these guys are doing their thing once again, we'll have to check back with you.
Yeah, definitely, man. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm gonna be out there actually. I'm gonna try to come catch a game this year.
Okay, cool. Come out to camp and watch all your guys in action too. They got a good O line to go against.
Yeah, I know they're gonna speak of some good competition. I think they what are they inter squad Cincy? That'll be a good little test right there. They got a good O line.
They have one against Cincinnati in Cincinnati that third preseason, but they have 2 with the Cardinals coming into town the week before that.
There you go. Yeah, so we'll see exactly what we're talking about. That's a great first show.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, you see those guys in one-on-ones and everything, and it's like it's not until the other team comes in that you really see what's going on. But yeah, thanks again, man. We appreciate your time.
Of course, man. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too.